Hello everyone, welcome to my channel if you're new, welcome back if you're returning. Yellows and greens today, you guys. Part 5, Not Polished Swatch series. Let's swatch. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys, I'm using my Kiara Sky monomer, and I did already swatch when I unboxed the doll collection just recently, the Manicured Lawn and Sun and Flirty. So I'm just going to show you those colors here, you guys, because they are part of the yellows and greens. If you want to see me actually swatch them, that's in the dolls collection video. So let's get started. The first one we have is Bees Like That. And this is a very, very pale yellow that has like a white, it's creamy, it's dense, it's, I don't know, like a lemon yellow with some white mixed in. Definitely one of my favorites. So in this video, you guys, I'm going to, of course, swatch all the yellows and greens. But I am going to be slowing things down at some points to real time to show you guys my bead pickup and a couple of tricks that I've learned along the way for doing acrylic application, picking up big fat meaty beads, and one bead method on a swatch stick, that kind of thing. And, well, I'll explain it when I get there. I'm also going to be shouting out a creator that I have come in contact with recently. So that will be coming up. And then I will also be shouting out, I've decided... It's not that I never wanted to do it before, I just didn't want to be unfair. So I'm just going to start going through all of my supporters, all of you wonderful, amazing girls that are always watching my videos and here supporting me. I would love to give back in some kind of way, so I'm just going to be grabbing you guys up and shouting you out on my channel. So I'm going to start with the lady that I've met recently. Here I'm going to show you where this little wand is pointed at the top of your brush. Sorry to interrupt what I was saying, but I do show this again, and I do talk about the creator later. When I started understanding what my brush was doing in relation to bead pickup, this really helped me. One day I noticed this, where I had pointed that little arrow and that wand for you. I'm going to show it again, I think on the next bead pickup, or maybe the next swatch, I'm not sure. I noticed one day when I had dipped my brush in the monomer and then I dipped it in my powder, I happened to be looking at that part of my brush, the top of my brush while it's in the powder, and I was able to see, just visually see, the monomer draining from my brush. And I thought, well, I wonder if when the monomer's gone, when I can see it is drained from the brush, if that's when I should pick up my bead. And bam, that was a trick that just changed things. So I'm going to show it again. So you guys, if you're struggling with bead pickup or consistency or anything like that, so it wouldn't matter if you were picking up a small bead or a large bead. However much monomer is in your brush, you'll know when to lift your brush out of the acrylic when you see your brush is drained of monomer. So it doesn't matter what size you're picking up, that little trick will work for you if you start watching your brush right there in that area. I think I might show it on this one, this next one. Is this Blonded Moment? Yep. Okay. Right there on the top of your brush. So throughout this video, you'll at some points be able to see what I'm talking about and see the liquid drain from my brush. That's when you know your bead size is complete. The other thing I do is when I take it out of the acrylic, I'll tap it on the edge of my container until I see the monomer rise to the top of the bead. So it's not necessarily that my bead has polymerized, it's that I can see my bead is saturated. If that, well, I'm sure that makes sense. Once my bead is full of monomer and it has risen to the top, that's when I know I'm good to go. So, and also I'm sure you guys can see that I don't, when I'm picking up a full-size bead to do a one bead method on a swatch, I don't even drain my brush, I just tap it along the edge of my dappen dish, which I do show when I get into more real-time application in the greens. So I'm going to let you guys watch these gorgeous colors, and I'll be back. Okay, so coming up right here, I'm going to show you. I pick up my brush, I get it completely soaked, I tap it once, I tap it a couple times in the powder, and then I press and hold it into the powder until that brush is drained of monomer. That is going to give me the biggest bead that my brush can pick up. I could probably pick up a little bit more, but that is enough for a big, meaty, workable swatch stick sized bead. And I think I show a couple more times bead pickup in real time. Okay, I do the same thing here because it's basically how I pick up all my beads, but I don't have it in real time till I get to the greens. But I wanted to mention how to get the bead down the length of your swatch stick. So I'll put it on and then I tap the sides to bring the acrylic to the sides. So when you tap it and pat it and lift it up, it's going to naturally drag it to that area. And then you use different parts of your brush to move this bead all in one piece down your swatch stick. So you're going to use the base of your brush when you want to pull a length or a chunk of it down with pressure. And you're going to use the top of your brush in a feathering motion, a painting motion, to smooth out the bead. So usually you're using the base of your brush for pressure and the top of your brush for smoothing it out. And so that's why I do tapping. If you notice I do a lot of patting, that's just to bring the acrylic to the edges. And when you have a bead that is a good consistency, patting is all you need to do because you just need to guide it where you want it to go. If it is a dense bead like the ones I like to work with. And then sometimes I'll pick up a wetter bead to just go all the way down the nail with like I did here. But it's actually not wet. It's still a good consistency, if that makes sense. So I just thought I could make use of these swatches to help anyone that might be struggling, pass along any tips I've learned along the way, because seeing these colors are cool and watching swatching is cool, but you might as well use the opportunity to, I might as well use the opportunity to pass on some tips I've learned. There was something else I was going to say. Right, since this is strictly application, it's a good way and opportunity to show how I use my brush and why. Because I'm just patting and moving the bead in one. I'd said this before too. Whenever you have a bead, whether it's small, medium, or large, it helps to keep that bead all in one piece. Instead of, unless you're doing an ombre, you should be moving your bead all in one piece down the nail. You don't want to set your brush in the middle of the bead and start spreading it down, because you're just going to separate it and cause your acrylic to be not level. It'll have different levels, which I did explain in one of my other videos, which I need to redo that video. I have so many videos to do, you guys. It seems like I have so many videos to do, I don't even do nails anymore, except for on clients. But I also, just to let you know, do have all of my green blues, baby blues, and dark blues, all my blues, which I counted, and there's 31 of them. They're all ready to swatch and laid out, so that will be coming up. I'm sorry about the cars going by, you guys, but in my house is kids, and in the backyard my wife is getting the pool ready, and so there's a lot of water and banging and stuff like that. Don't ask me why there's banging. I don't know. But every so often a car will go blazing by and I'm not prepared for it. So you can see here that I had too much acrylic at the base of near the free edge of my swatch stick, so I patted it up. If you guys can learn to pat, and patting wet beads doesn't do much. Patting works when you have kind of a more dense bead and you're working with it in one piece, and so you can pat it where you want it to be. So you can see I'm moving it away from the sides, but I'm also bringing it to the sides, depending on how I do. You know, if you touch something and pull away from it, it will kind of suction it, if that makes sense. So when I don't have acrylic all the way to my side walls, I will pat the acrylic and pull it. When I pull my brush away, it brings it there. So if you guys like are understanding, if I'm saying everything correctly while I'm doing these swatches, you can kind of see what I mean by all of the things I said, and maybe something will click for you guys if any of you are struggling. Coming to the ends of the yellows, I didn't have very many yellows, which is why I did the yellows and greens in one video. But I have been letting you guys know, I think there was only one glow color in my yellows, which is either this one or the next one or the one before this. But when I point to the bottom of a jar when I'm showing you the color and I point to the G in the name, that means it's a glow. I will insert at the end of the video when I'm showing you all the colors individually. When they're dry, I will insert the color, the picture from the website of how they glow, because I was doing these videos during the day, so I didn't get a good glow of the actual swatch I made, so I do insert a picture for you of its glow color. So once we get into the greens here, I'm going to be right away in real time showing you guys bead pickup, how I pick up beads anyway, how I pick up these really, really big beads. So I'll jump back on right then. So thus far I've been going light to dark with swatches, but here I'm going to start with dark to light. I don't know why I laid it out that way. This is one of my all-time favorite colors. You can see from the lid it has a shimmer. I try while I'm swatching it to show you guys it has tiny little gold flecks in it. It's just a beautiful color. And the next color is very similar to this, and when they're dry at the end of the video, I show them to you next to each other so you can see that one of them is a gray green and one is like a mossy green, but they both have the gold flecks in it, but they're definitely different colors. You'll be able to see later. Some of these greens, I was so glad I went through and swatched them because some of them are so beautiful. There's a gray green in here called Dragon Slayer that just almost makes me drool. I just love it. And then, I can't think of the other one now. I had it on the tip of my tongue, and I even put one in my cart because I'm almost out of it. Of course, I'll show you that when we get there. I don't think there are any jellies in here. I don't have any yellow or green jellies. Do I? No, those are in the blue greens. I have Blow Me Away and Jelly Bean Dream, which are in the green and blue greens. I mean, blue greens and blues. I just love all these colors. And this is a glow. You notice how there's absolutely no marbling. It's just a solid, nice color. So right here during Christmas tree, here's what I do. I get my brush drained of bubbles. I let it drip to make sure there's, like, it's not dripping. I tap it once. I get some acrylic on my brush. I looked at it just to show you. And then I'm going to press it till the monomer's drained. And then I'm going to tap it until I see the monomer rise to the top. It's not necessarily polymerized here, it's just saturated. Then I'm going to let the bead polymerize on my brush as I work it. Because since I have a big, thick, meaty bead, I need to tap it and feel it and press it to see if I need to add more monomer or if I'm good to go. So you can see me working that as I've mentioned in this way. So I'm moving it all in one piece. I'm patting to get it off the sides and to draw it to the sides, depending on which I need. And then I'm going to bring this down with the base of my brush when I need pressure and with the tip of my brush when I want to smooth it out. And I'll just alternate sides, and then I'll do one good smooth. A lot of times I need a little bit more on the top for kind of like an apex or shape. And if I pick up a smaller bead, sometimes I'll drain it because there's still too much monomer in my brush. If I press my brush into the acrylic, I'll just get a larger bead, and I don't want that. But do you see how this bead is still basically the same consistency? It's not running everywhere. That's because I drained it. So once you start learning how to work a really dense bead, you'll know how much to drain from your brush to work smaller beads, whether you're draining it before you put it in or on the towel when it comes out. And I think I show you here. Okay, I'm draining my, sorry, it still goes by quick even though this is in real time, I'm sorry, but see the pressing? There you could see the liquid draining out of my brush. And this is all in real time for you guys as well. Also, when I'm dipping my brush into the monomer there, like you just saw, I always tap my table towel first. See how I do that? And then I tap my table towel, my brush on my table towel afterwards, because I only want the acrylic off of my brush and I want my brush moist. I don't want my brush completely wet because I don't want to add any monomer to this, but I want my brush moist so that it glides slickly across the acrylic. So whenever I feel my acrylic start to stick to my brush, I will wipe it on the napkin, tap it in my brush, wipe it on the napkin again, so I just have a damp brush to maneuver that bead with. That's what I'm doing here. So I'm not adding monomer to this bead, except to smooth it out. And here's another shot. Drain the bubbles, tap, bounce a couple times, press real good. Watch the monomer drain out. Pick it up, tap it till it rises to the top, and work this all in one bead. Even if it's a small bead and I'm only going to cover half the nail with it, I can still do that procedure. I just don't have as much monomer in my brush to start with. And that's another way I keep my monomer clean. Now, you can't swatch glitters and really pigmented colors, you know, 30 of them in a row without getting your monomer, some kind of color in your monomer, especially when you're working with bright yellows and really pigmented colors. I'm so sorry for the background noise, but I'm in the middle of a thought, you guys. I will lose it if I stop. I'm sorry. But keeping your monomer clean is super easy if you just get in the muscle memory of tapping your brush. Every time you pull your brush away from your acrylic, right there, before you put it in your monomer, tap your napkin. Just get in that habit and you will save so much monomer that way. Because you won't have to dump it out in between colors. Even after glitters, I can go from black to white just from doing this. Just making sure my brush is clean before I put it in the monomer. If you get in that little habit, it'll always work for you. So I hope that some of these tips have helped you guys if any of you needed to hear them. If not, I hope you're enjoying the swatches, and I'll let you guys watch. I hope you guys don't hate me. I just said I'll let you watch, and of course I'm already back. But this is one of my all-time favorite colors. Just the way it's gray and green and has a shimmer. Oh, I don't know why I haven't used this on 30 sets. I don't know. I guess because I can't think of what to do with it. But I would like roll in this color. I love it. I love it. Also, of course, in the comments, like all the other videos, I want to know what your guys' favorite colors are. But look at this. So beautiful. And do you see also tapping helps me flatten the brush? So I knew I didn't pick up a big enough bead to do the whole nail, which is why I laid it where I laid it. But I'm still going to keep this bead all in one piece, if that makes sense. So like I wouldn't put this all the way at the top and then leave the bottom of my swatch stick bare, because it would be hard to play catch up from there. I'd have to keep going the opposite way like I am now. I hope that made sense. So basically place your bead, if you're trying to keep your bead all in one piece and bring it down the nail, place it on the nail in the right spot to be able to bring it all the way to the bottom. Oh, I never know if what I'm saying makes sense to other people. I just really don't. It makes sense in my mind, but yeah. So you see how I don't have any acrylic up at the top? So I'm just going to push it up there a little bit, and I'm going to pat and tap to get it there. I'm going to move it away from the sides, but I'm also going to tap again and pull my brush out, and that adds it to the sides, if that makes sense. This is really, really helpful when you're doing C-curve nails, because how do you get acrylic on the C-curve all the way on those sides without making your sides thick? Just like that. You just pat it and tap it on the edge. If I see that coming up here, I'm going to jump back on so I can explain it better. Okay, it's basically going to happen on this bead. I'm going to place this bead, and it's not going to be on the sides. It's going to be in the center where I put it. So when I put it here in the center, I'm going to start tapping and pulling my brush away, and that puts the acrylic there. Now I have acrylic on my sides, but it's not lobbing over my tip. Keep watching for that too if you're struggling with that. This one, I didn't show it to you in the beginning, but I believe it's called Cash Me, and I do show it, of course, at the end. Another one of my favorites. Just gorgeous. Sorry, Neon Ninjas. This is a glow. This is one of my favorites. The next three are this one, Cash Me, and the last little mint green. It's almost empty. That's how favorite it is, and it's a glow. So that last one, Neon Ninjas, this one, Cash Me, and the next one. Oh, I left this in because I picked up way too dry of a bead, and I didn't redo it or cut it out because I wanted to show you guys how easy knot polish is to work with. Do you see this? That was too dry of a bead. It literally fell off my brush. But with Notpolish, you just add some monomer. Like, there's almost nothing you can do to mess up these powders. You mess up like that, 9 times out of 10, you can pick it up and keep going. Just add some monomer to it. And then I went a lot more wet on the next bead so that I could get my shape right, because getting that bead on. Now, I would never do that with a client, you guys, because this is not the right bead consistency. It's probably too dry under there. That's just not, look at this color. That's just not what you want on a client's nail. This is strictly just for swatch sticks. So when I say, oh, you can drop it and pick it up and add monomer, yeah, you can. But bittersweet, this glow right here, this is top 3 in the colors I swatched today. Absolutely beautiful, especially when it dries. This was getting into the blue-green area, which is why I stopped, because, like I said, I've got 31 of those coming up. See how I'm tapping this to the edge here? If not, take that back. I just tapped that to the edge. Now I'm in like 5 different subjects here. Okay, yeah, don't ever do that with a client. But what I do mean that about Notpolish products. You just can work, you can do anything with them. They're so easily workable. They don't freeze up on you. Another trick is right here. That bead was too wet, so I held it there till I felt it polymerize and I felt it get the firmness I wanted it to be before I worked with it. Another thing I learned, definitely, is when you're working with an acrylic that's really highly pigmented, neon orange, neon green, yellow, whatever, those acrylics have, look at that color. Those acrylics have a lot of clear in them. So you need to work with them a little faster and a little wetter. So that's why you'll notice them drying up on me. All right, here's where I'm going to bring up Sarah, you guys. Sarah's Nail Lounge. She used to work with glitter bells only. She's in the UK. She has a beautiful accent. She sold all her glitter bells. Legit, you guys, she sold all her acrylics as soon as Notpolish started shipping to the UK. So she's a fellow Notpolish babe. Go send her some love. She's got a large following on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. This is her YouTube channel. I will be linking it in the description box for you guys. She's super pleasurable, super nice. Her accent is just beautiful. Of course, she does great nails. And she told me that she loves the engagement that she sees on my channel, because I have all you great, beautiful, loyal women that we all have this group. We're not over there with her, so you guys jump over there. Go show her some love. I would love to see you guys do that. And when I start shouting you guys out, she's going to do the same. She asked me for some channels because she sees all the love in my comments. You guys were so amazing. It was what drew her over. So you guys go show her some love. This is the last swatch, and you saw that I dropped that bead. This was what I was talking about needing to work wetter with really pigmented colors because there's a lot of clear in them. Hello, Jen. But I figured it out. Anyway, I'm going to show you the colors one by one when they're dry. That's coming up right here. I'll be showing you them, the pictures of them glowing. And then I'll show them to you all together at the end. And you guys have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for being here and watching with me. And I'll see you guys next time. Oh, by the way, before you see this video, you will have seen Kendra's black and green set. And up next are swatching my greens and green blues. Thank you guys again for being here, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.